Oh, there
Hey guys, guess what? Isyour6covered is live once again this week. Yes, I've been killing it with live chats. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying them. I know a lot of you guys have been entertaining me and showing up, so I appreciate that. But tonight we're having a little bit of fun. I got great folks here on the panel. We got WTF SoCal, TR Prepper, and X-Ring. Hoping to talk a little bit about his competition in New Mexico. Maybe we can learn from it. There's a lot of stuff he's kind of he hasn't put much down for video. He has put a few videos out, but let's say hi to everybody real quick. Let's start with WTF SoCal.
Hey, Rick, thanks for inviting me in. I'm actually interested in listening to what Ray experienced. Although, as a cheater, I did already hear a lot about it ad nauseum. But it was a good kind of nauseous. Yeah, guy's got talent, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy long range shooting more than pretty much every other kind of shooting there is. So this is my kind of chat. So thanks for having me on.
Cool. TR Prepper.
Hey, just thanks for having me on. And I did watch Ray's last video. I say his last video. I don't know if it was or not, but where he's doing the competition in New Mexico, and wow, what a challenging course. And dude, you got all I can say is props to you, because you got the skills. That's all I can say. And I'm here to learn.
Thanks, DR. Appreciate it.
And X-Ring. X-Ring and myself. Hold on real quick. He's got some weather that's kicking his butt for Wi-Fi, so hopefully he can hang around for a while. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. As long as this internet holds up, we'll be good to go. But no, thanks for having me on. I know it was last minute. Just got back in town. The reason SoCal said what he said is after the match, I actually hopped in a car and drove out to California, and then drove all the way back and got in late last night. Did 4,000 miles in the last 5 days, but it was beautiful. Got to see some unbelievable country, and you know, started that off with the match. So it was a really good time. So just coming back off of that.
Very cool. And tell you what, it's a lot of pretty country out there. Let me say hi to everybody real quick so we can get it out of the way. Pop's Quest, Chico Wise, Bald and Curious, Big Al. We got Captain Shark. Dun, dun, dun. Should have hit the one button. Got TR Prepper using the internal here. Big L, Robert Warren, Daniel got as my judge, Scotty M 1959, Warsaw Patriot, and Big Racer. See if I missed anybody else. WTF SoCal's out there. Bad Billy 429. And I think I got everybody. If not, I'll come back and say hi. But I appreciate you guys showing up. This is going to be a lot of fun, I hope. And I'm interested. I really want to learn. Maybe we can get some tips. I want to talk about the spur mount sometime, about it breaking. I mean, that thing's built like a brick house, but doesn't have to be right now. But dang, that's crazy that broke. And other than that, I think I got everybody. So let's get cracking. So, Mr. X-Ring, I know you're a very humble man. And on one of the stages, you were telling me about how you're supposed to have your rifleman and your carbine guy. And one guy shoots the pistol, then the one guy shoots the rifle. And tell us how cool this was. I mean, you did really good for having to do it by yourself. I know you don't want to do it, but you guys got to understand, he's humble, and I'm pulling it out of him right now. Tell us how awesome this story is.
All right. Okay, so for those that might have watched the video, you know that my partner had to withdraw because of a family emergency. He had to fly back into to the south, so I had to drop him off at Amarillo. But one of the things I couldn't record because I was by myself and it was just too tough to do it, is they do assault stages after you get done with the field courses. So those field courses is what you guys actually saw in the video. And on a field course, you've got, you're going to spend anywhere from 4 to 5 hours shooting 7 to 8 field courses. But after you get done with that in the afternoon, you have 2 what they call assaulters courses. Well, because they allowed me to shoot without a partner, they needed to make it, I'm not going to say anything negative because, hey, they allowed me to finish it, so I'm not going to complain. But they made it so that it was stacked against me. Okay, so one of the assault courses, and this kind of leads into that RMR because that video was really cool because I took that out there. Couldn't have done it without that. But on one of the stages on the assaulters course, okay, we're going to pretend I am the rifle guy. Okay, we're going to say this is the rifle guy. This is the carbine guy. What they said was the guy that's shooting rifle has to shoot his pistol and pistol only. And he's shooting at, you started at 10 yards and you had to shoot half of like a quarter size IDPA. So it was just basically kind of like what you guys see in the screen right there, but it wasn't a full size head. And what he had to do was hands at the low ready or relaxed. When the buzzer went off, he had to draw his pistol, fire 1 round on the steel, or he could shoot as many times as he want, but he had to hit that steel. Once he hit that steel, then the carbine guy who's over here, he is at port arms, which basically means one's chambered, safety zone. But as soon as he heard that hit from the pistol, he could then come down and shoot 2 rounds into the center of a piece of paper, basically like an IPSC target with a score zone in the middle. And you had to do that in 5 seconds. So literally it was deep. Rifle guy had to draw, boom, 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 tink. When he hits the steel, as soon as he hits that steel, carbine guy could then go pop, pop, and hit 2 in the center at 10 yards. And you had, if you fired a shot after the 5 seconds, it was -3 points. If you fired a carbine before the pistol hit the steel, it was -3 points. So everybody had 2 guys on the line except for myself. And I said, well, what do you guys want me to do? And they said, you're going to have to draw your pistol, shoot the man steel, reholster, pick your rifle up, which is at the low ready, shoot 2 into the center, and you've got 5 seconds to do it. Well, man, I got some heckling like nobody's business. They're like, dude, you're not gonna do this. And the way it happened was I was able to do it in under 5 seconds, and then they move you to 15 yards and you have 4.5 seconds. I did that. And then by this time we already have teams dropping out because if you didn't hit the center, you were out of the game at this point. Then you went to 20 yards and you had to do that in 4 seconds. Then 25 yards in 3.5 seconds. I didn't make it to the 25 because literally at 20 yards in 4 seconds, it was draw, fire, holster, and as soon as I got it on target, the buzzer was going off and I was done at that point. But that's the way all the assaulters courses went. I wish I could have had video because it was really funny. But that's it. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was badass. I gotta say, that's badass. T, are you falling asleep?
He's like, what are y'all talking about?
So my question to Ray is, can you, when you were doing the rifle part, not the assault part, but the rifle part, I know you only showed in your videos the auto, the semi-auto rifle, and I know you guys started with a bolt gun and a semi-auto rifle. Would they have allowed you to run both courses of fire with 2 different guns if you could have carried them? No?
I actually asked if they would let me do that. I said, I'll carry both rifles. I'll carry the carbine and I'll carry the rifle. And they said, no, we will not allow that. So they said, you can either choose the rifle or you can choose the carbine. But whichever you choose, you're not going to be able to shoot at the other section of targets. So based on that, carbine, I think, was the way to go.
So I guess that leads me to the next question. Was one set of targets worth more than the other? Is that why you chose the carbine, or did you just figure, ammo's lighter, obviously the gun's way lighter?
Yeah, like half.
Yeah. Yeah. No, actually, I did. Now, the carbine guy can only shoot 3 targets. Okay. He's got unlimited rounds. The rifle guy can shoot at 6 targets, but he only gets 1 round each. You got to remember when you're stuff, the carbine guy is really who's the guy giving you your win call, because carbine has to shoot first. So based on that and based on ammunition and all of that, I chose to go with the carbine because I knew I'd get 3 hits on every stage minimum, because that's what there were on it. So I figured that would at least put me, my goal was to finish half the pack. And like I said, there were 47 teams and I finished 20th. So I was happy with that. That's above the 50th percentile.
Well, let's go back because I don't think people understand how this works. So it's a 2 or 3 day event.
3 day.
3 days. Okay. And how many miles did you have to carry all your shit?
1 day was 4. The next day was 5 miles. The next day was 4 miles. So the total was about 13 miles, and it's not flat level terrain. You're going up and down these hills and valleys and cliffs and everything else. And, the packs weren't crazy heavy. They were still somewhere around 40 pounds. And there wasn't a time constraint where we had to run like we did in Wyoming. I mean, you're literally sprinting from course to course. This one, you can't fall behind. They keep a monitor on you to make sure, but you're ROing the guys in front of you, so you never really fall that far behind. There was a team behind me that fell behind, and they brought an RO out and told them to pair up with me, and then we would be together. That way they wouldn't slow their RO section down. So they were monitoring everything very closely. They run a really tight ship with competition dynamics.
That's cool. I mean, that was pretty neat just to see the video that you put out. Hopefully there's some more, maybe, I don't know. Definitely talking.
No, that's all.
That's it. Yeah.
That was it.
Someone had commented, you need a camera guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was, but I thought it was pretty funny.
So
yeah. No, I mean, go ahead,
man. Oh, I was going to ask. You're making wind calls, and you're using obviously your scope and your dope when you're shooting the carbine for your teammate to give him ballistic data. Are you using your Tremor 3? Is it a Tremor 3 reticle in your on your AR that you were running? So you're just basically using the wind dots on that, and like you'll miss one and you'll choose another wind dot or somewhere between the 2 wind dots at whatever elevation. Are you going with that to tell him which wind dots to use in his? Because I know. I have a little background information. I know that AI that you guys were shooting, it's also got a Night Force with a Tremor 3 in it. You're just transferring that information, right? Is that how you guys all did it?
Because your wind dots are going to be different. So it's really important to know what your partner is shooting. So here's a great example. If I have to shoot the 5.56 at a 500-yard target, and guys, these targets are small. I mean, most of their steels are going to be 8 to 10 inches or smaller. We're not shooting man-sized steels for this target. But if I have to hold, let's say, 1 mil of wind to the left, okay, forget about your elevation because you already know what your dope is at 500. Then you can go ahead and figure knocking off about 1/3 of that for a 6.5 Creedmoor, shooting it out of that AI-AX. So basically 2/3 of what I am shooting is going to get him pretty darn close. So if I'm having to hold a mil, I'll tell him to hold about 6/10 to the left, because he only gets one and only one shot, and then he's got to move on to the next target. And let's say he does miss that first one. Remember, the distance changes. So your wind's going to change, depends on where that target is in the valley. Because what was really cool about it is because you were shooting in these canyons, the way the wind worked, you might shoot at a 500-yard target and hold dead on it with the wind. But at 300 yards, because the way it was coming in through this canyon, you might have to, on one of them, I was holding 1.8 mils at 300 yards. That's moving a bullet, son. Because winds were gusting, 20 something miles an hour. That last day, I think they were getting gusts close to 30 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, really tough wind calls.
That's one thing that's kind of weird about the Kestrel. I mean, it does provide you a whole ton of information, and I know you guys were using the Maxwell, right?
The Wilcox Raptors.
They're Wilcox, Maxwell. I'm not sure why I came up with that,
Smart.
but yeah. So, I mean, did you find yourself still using the Kestrel, just kind of get your wind, even though it's fairly inaccurate out at range, and especially working, across valleys and whatnot, it's almost worthless. It's basically just for all the same stuff that the Raptor can do.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I'll tell you the way that I do it. When I get up on a stage, the very first thing you want to do is drop your packs, and you want to get some glass on the targets to try to find the targets. None of the targets are painted. They're really hidden. I mean, they'll hide them in bushes, they'll hide them in shade, and you're looking out through this huge valley, and they will give you a left and right limiter, but that limiter is still huge, okay? I mean, you might be looking over 90 acres or more on some of these, even if it's a narrow left and right limiter.
Damn.
The hardest thing to do, especially doing these matches, is actually finding the targets. I did a video of some of the teams in front of us where I RO'd for them. And I mean, nothing on them. They're just not used to doing it. I mean, some of those, you got to remember, there's 6 steels out there. Okay. And almost every stage had 6 steels. Newer guys that have never shot matches like this are lucky to find 3 or maybe 4 steels. So right off the bat, even if they were great shooters, if they only found 3 steels, their maximum points would be 6 out of 9, because the carbine guy can shoot any 3. And the rifle guy he has to shoot all of the 6. Now remember, he's going to be engaging 3 that the carbine guy had already shot. So there's only 6 steals total. Carbine guy shoots 3, rifle guy shoots 6, total of 9 points. That's the maximum you can get. But if you only find 3 targets, then you're only going to get 6 points if you shoot it clean. So the first thing that I do to answer your question is I glass the targets. And once I find the targets, I start looking at 200, 400, 600, 800 for my wind. And, there's going to be some type of ground cover. There's going to be some type of grass or something. And you'll already have an idea. I don't plug in values into the Kestrel for wind. Maybe that's something I need to do. But I've just been shooting long distance long enough where I can pretty much get a good idea of how much I need to hold in order to get that hit. And if I don't, then I can correct with the second one with the AR. And that's what the point is to get that wind call for your rifle guy. Now, I will tell you, I didn't have to shoot a whole lot of second and third shots. I went through very little ammo. Shooting those 77 grainers, they do the job really well as long as you can do your part in reading the wind.
Yeah, it's hard to read wind without what's called mirage. So you're basically left with grass. Mirage. So correct. Did you guys, I mean, it's pretty cold out there. It was cold out there. So did you actually get mirage?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can get like even shooting in the snow, John, you'll get a ton of mirage. The biggest thing is a lot of guys try to look for mirage at the target. What you need to do is you really need to take your binoculars or spotter, whatever, and you need to focus at different ranges from where you're shooting out to your target. And that mirage, so for you guys that are watching the video, a mirage that's coming kind of straight up like this would be called a boiling mirage. And so you're really not going to have a wind value if you just see it boiling straight up. But then sometimes you'll see it kind of, the mirage is off to the side. And I don't know if it's reversed for you guys, so I'm not going to try to figure out left, right, or anything else. But, I mean, you'll actually see mirage where it's like this. I mean, Rick, I know you've seen it, but that's going to give you some wind calls as well. That's going to tell you a whole lot about wind, but also rely on foliage, grass, trees, anything like that. Now, there's no trees out there, so it's mostly, anything you can use, sagebrush, any type of, just grass or anything like that.
Are you allowed to shoot out smoke grenades or anything like that?
No, you can't do that. You got to remember, you only have 6 minutes. you will spend a minute and a half just trying to find your targets in the first place. And then, you know, while you're finding targets, you're trying to range these targets. So I use binos, and most of your better teams are going to use binos and try to, instead of trying to set up a spotting scope. It's really easy to see mirage with a bino. It's really good with a good set of glass to see trace, to make corrections. So first thing we do is we get on the binos, and these are range finding binoculars. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and range them and write down the ranges. Now I do rely on the Kestrel, because before each stage, I'll go ahead and just quickly run a, you know, environmental and make sure that my numbers jive. Because, you know, remember I put the temperatures in the morning. You know, when we were starting off, it was 38, 39 degrees in the morning, but by 11, 12 o'clock, it had already gotten up to 70-ish degrees. And that'll make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I tried to put hints in the video too. You know, when you're doing, you know, slope dope and you're shooting extreme downhill or uphill, your bullet's always going to be higher. It's not traveling that distance that you would think. Okay. And I don't want to, that I would need to draw out. I mean, most guys would probably understand that, but your bullet's still traveling that distance, but it's only affected by wind for a certain distance, and it's the horizontal distance. So, geez, I need a whiteboard, but anyway.
Yeah, there's that.
Before we move on, let's change topics real quick. And next week's chat will be on TR Prepper's Fun Fisher. Well, we got to get that in early so people will know. Tell us a little bit. You don't have to tell us the whole backstory, TR, but whatever you want to. That way the people will hear that and know to go to your other channel.
Yeah, I got to do a announcement about that. I got a strike on my TR Prepper channel that's total bullshit. It was I know SoCal knows about it because I told him about it, but it was on a MERS channel. I promoted a MERS channel, which is basically CB, because it's a channel that you don't have to have a license to use. And somebody turned it in saying that I was doing some illegal horse shit, and I wasn't. But YouTube didn't even look into it. They just gave me a strike, and so now I can't do chats for 3 months. I did appeal. I did do a appeal. So, but I don't think it'll come back before next Tuesday. And so anyway, so the Tuesday night bull ring will be on the Mr. Fun Fisher channel next week. And I have a cold.
That sucks, buddy.
Funny.
We got a couple questions out there about what binos do you use, X-Ring? What scope? What scope did you use? I forgot. Right. You got some questions out there.
Binos, yeah. What binos do you use, X-Ring?
All right, so I don't have a pop-up chat, so you'll have to relay these questions, because if I try to do that, I'll definitely lose service.
Yeah.
I use the Leicas, the Leica 2000s or the 3000s, the HDBs. They are expensive, but they work really, really well, especially the laser range finding feature. They do have ballistics in there, but you know, I hate to say it, but their ballistics program leaves a lot to be desired. Use the ballistics program. I can't get their custom profiles to line up with. They have one where they have these kind of given drops. There's like 13 different drop tables depending on the caliber. And then they have a custom one that you can go onto their website and build it, but it's not really close enough for us to use it. So, yeah, we just use them for their rangefinders and binoculars because it's great glass.
He asked because he uses Steiners.
I've got a set of Steiners, but the Steiners I have don't have range finding. I've used the Steiners with range finding, and that is excellent glass as well. Those would be perfect. There were a lot of guys carrying those Steiners with the rangefinders in them, but good units, really good units.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay, so because I like to make people understand and I don't like to leave stuff lying. So anytime you're shooting downhill or uphill, so let's say you're at the bottom of a skyscraper at the ground and you're shooting up towards the top at a target at the very top of the skyscraper. Okay, extreme angles, and in my experience, extreme angle means something more than plus or minus 7 to 10 degrees. You get about 12 degrees. That's when you're really going to start seeing it. But of course, the further you go, the more extreme it's going to get. But slope dope, shooting uphill or downhill, like if you laser range find, okay, we're going to, and I know I'm not going to try to do distances right. My hairline right here is the target. Okay. And you are the shooter and you're on the ground right here and you're shooting up towards my hairline. Let's say that's 500 yards.
22 hours.
If you put your 500-yard dope in, you're going to be high on that. A lot of people say, well, wait a minute, you're fighting gravity even harder because you're shooting uphill. Doesn't matter. It's the same, whether it's uphill or let's say you were at my hairline shooting down right here at the corner of this piece of paper and you ranged it and it was 500 yards. If you put your 500-yard dope in, you're going to impact high. Okay. And then other guys say, well, now you're working with gravity. It's not the way it works, guys. So a lot of you guys probably already know this, but literally, you guys remember maybe in high school, they taught you this thing called Pythagorean's theorem. It was c squared equals a squared plus b squared. This is a really easy way to know, to kind of understand. We're going to pretend this right here is the bottom of a cliff. I'm trying to do this backwards. And let's say this is where you're standing on the top of the cliff. And we're going to say this cliff right here, we'll get to the height in just a minute. But you're at the top of the cliff and you're shooting at this deer down here. Okay. So we're going to say, I'm going to try to do this backwards. This is the deer. This is the bottom of the cliff. That's the shooter. So from the top, if you take this and you laser range find that deer and it's 500 yards, okay? You got to remember that bullet is really only traveling this distance in regards to gravity, okay? So let's say you remembered Pythagorean's theorem, which is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. We'll make this really easy. We'll say this right here is 300 yards, this distance from here to here. Let's say the height of this is 400 yards. If you do the math on it, do c squared equals a squared plus b squared, it's going to tell you that this distance right here, if you didn't know it, you could come up with that distance, would be the 500 yards or 5 squared, which would be 25,000, or basically 500 would be 25,000. So what's going on here is you're really only firing it this distance. Now the wind affects it for the full 500 yards, but it's no different than straight line flight here, okay? So if you put 500-yard dope in and it's really only either 400 or 300 here, based on the height of your cliff, you're going to shoot way over the top of that target. And guys, you know, you can do sine and cosine angle meters. You can buy those for your gun and everything else. It's pretty easy to figure out, but that's how that works. So just kind of explaining what's going on. It doesn't matter if it's uphill or downhill.
Or
Makes sense, or did I make it?
Or just shoot at 200,
What's that?
300, 400, and 500 till you...
No, you don't have to do that, but you can figure it out based on the angle pretty quickly.
No, that's great information for sure. Or
It's nice to know information.
He says, do you prefer a bolt action or semi-auto? Do you prefer a bolt action or semi-auto? Depends what you're doing, I'm sure.
Depends on what I'm doing, because I like them both. If I have one shot at a long range target for precision, I'm going to go bolt gun every time.
Okay, and then
now if you give me unlimited rounds, okay, so let me backtrack for just a second, because we did this. We tried this. When I won that Snipers Unknown Challenge, we chose a 6.5 gas gun LMT because we thought rate of fire would be more important. We didn't know that they were going to limit shots. you know, to where you have one round. Well, one round, if it's a larger target with the gas gun, but if it's one round and they're going with really, really small precision targets, and when I say small, we're talking about 1 MOA targets, you know, so basically a 10-inch circle at 1,000 yards. Yeah, give me the bolt gun all day long.
So would you say rangefinders are BS, or does it take into effect the angle once you start, you know, once it starts calibrating down or up? Does that take all
No,
that?
actually, you can take that into account. You know, even and that technology has been out a long time, especially for you guys that are bow hunters. You know that Leupold and all these other range finding companies will give you the angle to tell you what your degrees are. And guys, even with that Streetlock app that I was telling you is plenty good enough on your phone. I'll just show you. If I go to Streetlock, which you guys have seen some of this on there, if I go over here to okay, can you guys see that? So right now I'm holding this down at a 30-degree angle. You see that?
Yeah.
And all I've got to do is hit OK. See how the angle's changing? I'm trying to hold it someplace you can see it. All you do is point that at your target from your reference, and it'll put all of that into your data based on your angles. So all of these apps have this stuff built in because it is the difference between a hit or a miss by a long ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I've had a couple instances where I've shot high, shooting down, and then we talked about that.
Yeah.
That would have happened going up too, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's a place that I've taken Rick to where it runs about 12 degrees, which isn't that much. Whereas if you go out west, and guys, it's hard on the East Coast. It's hard to find places to shoot off of cliffs that have a lot of slope dope and get the distance. And so that's one of the hardest things to practice if you don't have access to it. It's just something you have to figure out, basically, you know, or find a buddy that's got some mountain property and shoot off of his land straight down, you know, and try to find 500-600 yard shots, and you can kind of learn it there. You're not going to see it at 100 and 200, 300 yards. You'll see it a little bit on paper, but not big misses.
Aim high, Rick.
Aim low. Aim low.
Yeah, he's trying to give me the wrong answer because he wants to win every time we shoot together. He's been doing a good job of kicking my ass.
I always give you good info.
Yes. No, not you, Pop's Quest.
Oh, gotcha.
He
Pop's
commented,
Quest on here?
Yeah, I sent him a link, but he's being a douchebag, so he doesn't want to come on here for some reason. That ought to get him up here.
Make sure he knows that I have not forgot about him. He knows what I'm talking about. I also had a package before I went out of town that I was supposed to mail to him, but it never made it to the mailbox. So he's got that thing coming. And then I also have the other thing I got to get him on. He knows what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, you just told him, I think.
Perfect.
Chicken time.
Yeah.
Chicken and broccoli.
Whoa, looks great.
Oh, he said in a minute he'll jump on here.
Guys, let me tell you, that man right there, WTF SoCal, that guy can cook, okay? Like nobody.
Thank you, my friend.
Did you have a jacuzzied steak as well?
Yes, I did. No. It wasn't a jacuzzied steak. It was a jacuzzied half of cow. Okay.
Hold on, TR.
This is what was this? Like 4 inches thick, man. It was unbelievable.
Was it a tomahawk? Hold on, before we do that, TR wants to bail. I want to give him a second. He's sick and he needs to get his ass to bed.
Yeah, I got a couple
sleepy,
of
man.
recovering, and I'm a little weak, and I'm sorry, I'm tired. I got to go to work.
Hope you feel better, man. I hate to see a brother that's sick. Take care of yourself, man. Get well.
Hey, I felt like shit yesterday. I feel a little better today. I need a little bit more sleep because I got to go to bed tomorrow. I mean, I got to go to work tomorrow, so I need to sleep. So, night, guys.
All right, brother. Take care.
Take care, buddy.
Take care. Tell Patty I said hey, because I know she can't hear me with those earphones on.
Ray said hey. Hey, Ray.
Hey, Ray. Yeah, I saw some of your funny jokes you were sending to old SoCal. We'll get into that later.
Huh?
I'm having fun with you. All right, everybody's saying hope TR feels better, which is cool. We got some new people here. We got Might As Well Be, and I saw Kyle Lusk and Gordon Stevenson, Dan, Big Bad Billy 429. I saw a couple more, but I don't see where they are now. The Redneck Prepper. And I think that's the other ones that showed up late, which is fine. Oh, and Daniel got as my judge. I think I said his name already. Other than that, I think we're good. Trying to keep up on all you guys.
Is Land Run 89 out there?
No, he's probably busy with a live chat or something.
I was just wondering. I just wanted to say hi. Hope he's feeling better.
Yeah, for sure. Trainwreck. All right. So SoCal let X-Ring borrow a really cool, pretty much 100% carbon fiber rifle. We're going to shoot that anytime soon.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Ask Ray.
I am. I've had a.
Yeah, I was actually planning on
shot that before.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we shot that in California. That's right. That is right.
Yes,
that
we
is
did.
one cool ass rifle.
I'll let you know.
All right. Unfortunately, I got to go to work soon, but I'll be back before SoCal is. So.
What's the weather supposed to be like back there for the next couple of days? Get some range time in?
No, I think it's chilly. Chilly, but that's it.
It's nice. It's nice during the day. It's getting down into the 30s at night. I think I saw some 20s later on in the week, but yeah, it's nice during the day. Sun's up. It's good to go.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice today.
Really nice. Yeah.
Are you going to change the muzzle brake on that thing? Do you got anything in mind?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably go with an Area 419 muzzle brake. Or, see, the thing is, I don't want to put a suppressor on that to try it because the whole point of that is to have an ultra lightweight, like a rifle. And even though communication is really important, you're just adding that weight right back on with that suppressor or silencer. So I want to see what this thing will do by itself, with like a 419 brake on it. I don't know. We'll see.
People are asking what it is. I don't remember.
I mean, when it's that light and to begin with, I mean, okay, so to answer Rick's question really quick, it's a Christensen Arms modern precision rifle that's basically outfitted. The entire gun is, I did a review on it on my channel maybe 6-7 months ago. But the whole gun is basically carbon fiber except for the receivers. The butt stock, most of the butt stock is carbon fiber. The barrel is carbon fiber. The handguard's completely carbon fiber. Comparatively, it's at least, I would say, at least 25% lighter than the next best thing in the same kind of realm that it would sell in. And pardon me, going back to Ray, why not throw a suppressor on it? Throw a Thunder Beast on it, and I mean, it's only going to increase the maybe 14 ounces. That's nothing.
Well, by the time you add, the suppressor is going to be 11 ounces, 11 to 12 ounces, and then you're going to add the brake, which that's going to add quite a bit more. It's all steel. So, I mean, the thing is, it all adds up. It's adding a pound and a pound and a pound. Now, guys, this rifle weighs in. We can't go night. Oh, that must be SoCal eating.
Yeah, it's something. I was thinking it was you, but
Sorry about that. I forgot to put myself on mute. I'm chewing away over here. Sorry.
Now they're asking what rifle it is before we keep going on with this thing.
It's the Christensen MPR.
All right, and then
It is
GSXR, which is he says, fellas, my wallet is really feeling the sting from your Accuracy International videos, and now I've got all three of you here to tell you about it. Thanks, GS.
My wallet's still hurting too, buddy.
It's not Gixxer, is it? Like the motorcycle?
All right, so let me talk about these AIs for just a minute. The Accuracy International, I've never, ever had a rifle like this one. It says they're unbelievably accurate. They're very, very versatile with their modularity as far as changing calibers and whatnot, but they're heavy. They're really heavy. And so I know, everybody's going to say, wow, it's heavy, deal with it. Well, if you're doing, let's say, a 3-day ruck match and you've got your rifle, which weighs 20 pounds, and you want to throw a 50-pound pack on, and you're trying to do 15-minute miles like at Mammoth or something like that, it does make a huge difference. So when I was shooting with John, I had an opportunity to fire a couple rounds out of this Christensen, which I've never thought a lot of Christensen. But this MPR really impressed me because it only weighed 7 pounds base weight. Now, by the time you add the scope and whatever else to it, you're looking at half the weight, more than half the weight. By the time you get these AIs built up, it's gonna be more than 20 pounds. But it's half the weight of it.
I would say sub 10 pounds, easy.
Yeah, you can, depending on the optic, which it has me thinking about doing something like a 4-16 instead of doing like these 7-35s or the 5-25s, getting something that's a little smaller. And I've got one that I just won. I was thinking about throwing that on there because if the whole purpose is to make this thing super lightweight, now there are some disadvantages. You're not as stable in certain positions, and you're going to have a lot more felt recoil usually, depending on the brake. And then the other thing is it jumps, which that's a problem. That's why we're discussing these muzzle brakes. Is the minute you fire it, you lose the target. You don't see it until after it's already went past the target and hit the dirt or hit the steel, because it jumps so violently because it's so lightweight. So we're thinking about putting some type of muzzle brake on there or muzzle device to quell it a little bit. It's something where I'll do a review on it and shoot it and see. And I mounted an optic up to it last night. I want to see how this thing does.
You get home last night after driving 4,000 miles, and the first thing you think of is, I got an idea. I'm going to put a scope on a rifle.
Yes. It's so funny. And my wife came down into the basement. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I've got something to do. I got to get this thing mounted up." And so, yeah, that was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And so she was like, "All righty, I'll talk to you tomorrow." So yeah, just some ideas for this Christian.
That's a crack up, Ray.
Yeah, well, you know how I am.
Yeah, I don't think you sleep. And when you do sleep, you sleep upside down with your feet on the roof like a bat.
SoCal can attest to that.
Okay, so I can, because tell you what, he slept here one night when he was in California, and there's feet prints on my ceiling.
He's a bat, everybody. I woke up from the farm.
The craziest part is there are 3 different sizes. The whole family does.
The whole family. I told you just to hang a dowel across the room, and then they can just get their feet wrapped around it so they can all sleep.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing still, it's in a circle around the ceiling fan. It looks like they were walking upside down on the ceiling, like pacing on the ceiling. I don't know how long, but there's literally like the orange peel, like finish is worn in, and it's like all grayed out, like they were just walking around in circles on the ceiling all night long. People are weird, but I love you, man. Not regardless.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's a true fact. I seen it myself.
Anyway, so because this is supposed to be a long range, you know, talk about the match type thing. If I could give anyone any advice, and I tried to give out some advice to guys that wanted it out there. Communication is paramount. Okay, I know I've put that in the videos multiple times, but you have no idea how important that is. I RO'd a group behind me. Uh-oh, did I just lose service here?
No, you're here.
Uh-oh.
You're
Okay.
here.
I RO'd a group behind me, and I guarantee you could hear these two guys arguing from a mile away. They started with the F-bombs, calling each other this and that, because he was like, where's my target? And he's like, you're the one shooting at the effing target. I mean, it got nasty. I mean, I thought I was going to have to step in and referee the two, you know, turn into an MMA match on the hill. But no, clear, concise directions and communication is paramount, because you've got to remember, when you're on that rifle, you're getting that tunnel vision looking through that tube, whereas your spotter or whoever's working with you, your teammate's going to be looking through those binoculars. And it's like, it's right there. It's right there in front of you. And then I looked at the one guy, I said, why don't you grab the buttstock of his rifle and point it in the direction of the target that you're seeing? And so many guys were, okay, that one's 600 yards, and the guy on the rifle shoots at a 400-yard target. Well, unfortunately, if you call a 600-yard target and that's the one everyone's looking at, you don't get credit if you hit the 400. Everybody's going to be on the same sheet of music here for scoring. So, yeah, communication is huge. The other thing is, don't hurry to the point where you're fumbling everything. I mean, there was this one team, when they got up there, it's like they were already 4 minutes in the hole of a 6-minute leg. You know, keep your calm, keep your nerves, do what you're supposed to do in whatever fashion you're supposed to do it. But dropping stuff here and there, can't find mags. You know, once these guys were dropping stuff in the sand and then trying to reinsert that same magazine, the next thing you know, they got malfunctions because the guns won't chamber. I mean, it was just, I mean, literally it turned into a poop sandwich quickly. So just stay calm and then find those targets. If you only find 4 of the 6, then that's fine. At least you've got 4 of the 6 to engage. But if you ever have an opportunity to shoot a CD match, you need to try to do it. And that's competition dynamics.
Now, quick question, because I saw your video on that, and you were basically the one part of the video that you could see the guy talking with the other guy trying to find targets. What did you guys utilize mostly? Was it like between that, like see that rock, or, you know, so go like 50 yards to the right of that is the 400-yard target, or were you, there was nothing out there really but to use as landmarks besides tumbleweeds and bushes and rocks, right?
Yeah, this one was a little more difficult than the last match in regards to descriptors, if you will. Typically, let me go ahead and go another step further. When you get on a set of binos, and we're going to use my screen here that you guys are looking at, what I typically do is I will start on the left side here at the highest point of the left limiter, because I know where that left limit is because they have you stand on a mark to do it. So you and your partner are on this mark. And from be able to see those targets, they'll give you the left and right limit. What I will do is I will start at the top of that limit, usually on the horizon, try to find something high. If there's any trees, or if there, in this case, if there was like a rock or something like that, and then I will start scanning down. If you guys watch this, watch the overlap, and then up, because you're going to have overlap in your binoculars. Your partner should be doing the opposite thing, starting at the top, working his way down. And if you guys are communicating effectively and you're scanning like this, you'll find all 6 of those targets in short order, okay? Never scan faster than you can really see, though. I see a lot of guys, they'll start scanning like this or looking across and then going that way. Doesn't really work that well. Just really take your time as you're looking down. Take a moment to actually focus on each bush and everything else. Because like I said, they don't paint their targets. They're rusted. They're in shadows. They're hard to find.
Okay,
and,
so
even to the point where they'll put like,
so say you find a target,
yep,
and it's right here. You know, you went through, or say
okay,
you started on this side and you found one right here. How do you communicate to him? Do you guys use like quadrants?
I'll go ahead. No, we do not use quadrants. We will use landmarks. So if I find one right here at 650 yards, okay, first thing I'll do is I'll identify the shape, whether it's a circle, whether it's a diamond, whatever the shape is, triangle of the target or whatever. And if there's anything around that, like 2 bushes or like a ravine or like a juniper tree, anything like that, you just got to be real descriptive. And once we get on the same path, you know, because in a perfect world, he's going to find and range his side, I'll find and range my side, and we'll kind of understand. Or what we can do is whoever finds the first target, let's say the first one's right here, then I'll say, you need to come over here. And then once he finds this, then we'll start double scanning. And one can write down the yardages and figure out the dope for it. As long as you've got the yardages, because your dope card's already going to be set up. Now, guys, those Wilcox Raptors really, really work, but that's not how you win a match. It's about the communication. It's about having a good dope card for your rifle and finding those targets, okay? You could throw 5 Raptors on that thing. It's not going to help you. I mean, the only thing that thing's going to do is you still have to find those targets, and it's hard to do that out of a tube on a scope. You really want to try to use a set of binos, or look, binos are the way to go. I'm sorry, but that's the easiest way to find targets. Use like a good 10 power or maybe a 12 of view, but 10 power works really well.
All right, you got a couple more questions out there. First one, and I'll kind of head back. What power scope did you use on that last competition?
I use a 4-16, but most all target engagements for both myself and the 6.5 shooter are going to be somewhere between 10 and 14 or 10 and 15 power. You really don't want to zoom in much more than that, because once you engage that target and hit it, you got to find your next one, and you're going to be zooming back down. It's a big thing of mine. Guys get real hung up on these high power scopes. Yes, I do understand that, you know, those AIs have 7 to 35s, but unless I'm out at the range spotting for someone, I never shoot that high. The most I've ever shot in any match that I can ever recall would have been about 20 power, and that was under perfect conditions, and I wasn't in a hurry to find the next target. So most everything's going to be done somewhere around 15 power or less.
And actually the beauty, just if I can add a little bit about that, because I have the same scopes that you guys run. The beauty of that is, while Night Force or other super high-end optics are fairly, and I'll use the word fairly rather loosely, fairly clear at maximum magnification. Hi, Robbie.
Hey, buddy.
They still get a little opaque. They still get a little distorted. While at the same time, I've found this at the range where, you know, I'm even just doing simple, ammo testing, where I'm experimenting with different ammo, and, you know, I'll just take one shot, rack the bolt, look at the, you know, the chrono, and then put my cheek back down, and it's like, where the hell's the target? If you're zoomed that close in, it takes you 5 minutes to find the target again, because you only see like this much. You know, you have to zoom back out, then zoom back in. You get a really narrow field of vision, I mean, even out to 500 yards. It's almost like a useless feature. It's really cool to have, but it's like one of those things that you almost kind of never need to have.
Well, and I noticed spotting for Ray that when I was using his spotting scope, I kept going in too far, and then I couldn't find the trajectory of the bullet, so it was even harder to find the hits. You know what I mean?
Well, I have a question
anytime. Go ahead.
No.
Hey, Rob, how are you, sir?
Hey, good. But I hope you're doing well. Sounds like you just had a hell of a drive.
Well, it's fun.
The higher power scopes give you a larger objective normally, right? Instead of 40, sometimes 50. So is there any benefit in that, in not powering it up as much, but having a larger objective? So.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, it helps with light gathering, but you know, for low light and things like that. But I mean, you know, you can back down your power, and you don't need it that much anyway. I'm not a big fan of these huge objectives, you know, 56 millimeters and all that. I really like the 40 something range. You know, the old the USMC, the 8541s, those were 40 millimeter objectives. And I just had one of those and got rid of it. I said I would never ever sell that scope, and that because those things are unobtainium, they're hard to get. There was only a few out in public hands that were legally gained or legally acquired, and I had one of them. And you know, I won a big match shooting that, and that was a 3-12 Schmidt. It's all I ever needed, and that was shooting out to like 900 meters. You don't really need the big objectives, and you don't need the big power to do this stuff, in my opinion.
I think it's a security blanket for us untalented folks.
I'd agree with that 100%. I mean, especially it's like when I'm shooting, like I was at the range last weekend, and a great example of this. I'm shooting at the little sticky, I think they're like, maybe they're 3 MOA circles with a little like half MOA orange dot in the middle, the little shoot and see kind of stickies. I use those predominantly when I'm shooting long range rifle up close, and like up close, like 200 yards or in. And with the scopes that I use on my AIs and some other guns, if you focus in too far in the Tremel reticle, you'll have the 2 horizontals and the 2 verticals that come together, but there's a what is it, Ray, like a 0.2 MOA gap, I think, between, and then there's a 0.1 MOA dot. And if you're zoomed in too much, the 0.1 MOA dot, it's at 100 yards, is equivalent to roughly 1/3 of an inch. Will actually cover the entire target, and that, or the dot, and it's actually an impediment because you can't see actually what you're trying to hit. It's kind of goofy.
Impediment.
Yeah.
And
you know, and there's something else
the word
I
of the day.
on, guys. Some of my, this is really important. And if you guys are wanting to get in the long range shooting, just read any of the lit books. Great information, but just because you have a rifle that doesn't hold 1/4 inch groups at 100 yards does not mean you don't have a good long distance rifle. With these G7 bullets, okay, so you got different drag models. You got G1, G7, and with these G7s, you've got a lot of surface area. You've got a lot of bullet, a heavy bullet that's in contact with the flat or lands and grooves. That bullet might not have stabilized yet. And, you know, I'm not going to argue this point. I'm just telling you the way that it is, okay? There's plenty of documentation and tests on it. Your bullet still might be doing some of this at 100 yards, but once that rifle gets out to 200-300 yards, that bullet, it could have completely stabilized. So don't base your rifle just off of how tight it groups at 100 yards, okay? That is fact.
We had that problem with that what was it, a Valkyrie, right?
Now, that's a whole different story. There's a whole lot going on right now with that. What they're finding is, when I say they, this is really documented by a lot of manufacturers. You know, they pulled the 90 grain Federals out of circulation. Those are gone, the ones that they were touting at first. What they're finding is dropping into 1 6.5 or 6.8 twist is what's helping that. So everything else that was a 1 8, 1 7, that is not spinning them up fast enough in order to achieve what they need to achieve. So now they're starting to mess with all these twist rates. Also, jump is big in that rifle. So I'm not going to say what the problem that I had with the 224 was the problem with that. That could have been something else. But yeah, case in point, that could contribute to it.
All right. Next.
Warsaw actually put a question out. And
that's what I was just going to say.
Okay, go ahead. It's your chat.
No, go ahead. You can be my secretary. Go.
That's just what I wanted. Okay, so Warsaw Patriot asks Ray, what do you think of Taborosaurus Rex? He does a lot of long distance marksman competitions as well. Thoughts? Not sure what he's exactly asking, but Taborosaurus Rex, I don't know, Ray, if you're familiar with his channel, but he's been on YouTube a long time. And back in the good old days, he did like a 400-part series on how to be awesome at long-range shooting, and goes deep, dark into gnarly, deep secrets in science and chemistry, metallurgy, and other stuff. I guess just take it from there.
Okay, so yes, I've watched one or two of his episodes ever. Guys, before I met Rick and everyone else, I don't watch TV. I never got on YouTube other than to look up something. And, you know, I've never really watched any of his stuff, but I've never heard anything bad about him. I heard that he's very, very knowledgeable. He put some really, really good information out there, but I can't attest to that because I don't watch him. But I haven't heard anything negative.
You know, on the note of Taborosaurus Rex, he does and seems to know a lot about stuff. And actually, everything we've discussed at this point really kind of seems to couple with the things that he believes in, for lack of a better word. What was I going to say? Another just for Warsaw Patriot, another guy to look at is what is his name? Oh God, there's a YouTube channel. He's a NSSF kind of spokesperson. Ryan Kleckner. Ryan Kleckner has an amazing series of videos on long range shooting. He was a special forces sniper for a long time and became a trainer in the Army. And he's got a lot of outstanding videos. Well, they are kind of, I would say, dumbed down compared to Taborosaurus Rex. They're still outstanding nonetheless.
Okay.
Hey, Ray, I have a question about bullets.
Okay.
You know, the last load that I did for the DMR rifle that I did the little accurizing trick to that you told me about. But anyway, I loaded up some identical loads that you told me to with the 69 Sierra, but I also had some 69 Nosler bullets that looked like the tip was it was almost the bullet looked exactly the same, but the tip looked a little bit more open. And it was their competition series bullet. It was a good bullet. And it just looked like it was going to fly better. It was going to be a better bullet. And then after what you just said about 100 yards, I don't know if it's even worth talking about. But the Sierra still seemed to group better at 100 yards. And, you know, that's an 18-inch. That's a 20-inch barrel. You know, it's a Faxon 1-8 twist and all that good stuff. But have you ever got any experience with the Nosler bullets? Are they as good as the Sierra, or is the Sierra just the thing to use?
You know, I cannot speak authoritatively on Nosler. Only thing I've ever loaded has been Sierras, the Hornadies, and Burgers. That's it. I really don't mess with any other bullets for rifles. You know, I'm not saying, guys, I'm not saying don't pay attention to what your rifle is doing at 100, but if it's not shooting, you know, a quarter minute as opposed to a 3/4 minute, that's not that big of a deal. You need to check that group out of that rifle at 200 yards, 300 yards. You're really going to start to see what's going on. If it just starts getting worse and worse, then you already know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean,
These rifles don't come.
I'm almost ready to stretch it out a little bit. I need to get a little bit more ammo made, and I've been real busy. But as soon as I get a pile of absolutely perfect ammo, I'll hit you up and we'll go out there. But you know, at my place it's 100 yards and that's it. So
yeah, no, just let me know if you can always get up if you can get the time off and go out. You know, I've got a flexible schedule and we'll definitely do that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to do any more DMR matches before the end of the year there, but I do know that they are going to start a new series out there next year that's supposed to be better than the one they had this last year. It's supposed to be a minimum of 4 matches, I believe.
Okay. Oh, count me
I
in.
think someone else
Keep us posted on that. That gives us time to get the rifles where we want them and all that good stuff, and
I think Bad Billy 429 has an excellent idea. I don't know. Can you read the comments there, Rob?
There's another window. Sorry.
Yes, I agree 100%. Bad
He
Billy
put in,
saying,
Rob, it's time to get that tractor fired up and make the range longer. I say we don't drive it anymore. There's 300 yards right there.
No, I can back. There's a field behind the long range bench, and if I go through the woods into that field and build a bench back there, I get 250, which I can do, and I'm gonna do. Every time I'm out there, I don't have time to work. I'm busy practicing. I'm doing my thing. I haven't had time, So it's easier just to drive.
It would take you like 2 hours with a chainsaw to just cut a 10-foot wide swath. Just let the trees fall where they fall, and they'll rot eventually. They'll be out of your way.
Cutting trees down is not as fast as you think. It takes a little more time. Trust me.
Don't ask me about chainsaw.
The minute you drop that tree, it's right in your sight path. So there's that. So, anyway.
Well, it's a good start, man. It's a good start.
No, I think Rob has a great piece of property. I just wish it was 3 hours north.
Yeah,
I
me
kind of do too. I really do too.
I'm tired of this coastal living with all these people moving here. I'd love to get up. I'd actually like to live in the middle of nowhere, closer up that way, but anyway, that's never going to happen. So whatever.
Yeah, sounded good at least.
Yeah, a man can dream, right?
Hey,
That's
Rob, I can actually make it. I'd work for free for you. As long as you bought the equipment, everything I said you needed, you'd be able to work remotely anywhere on the planet. Just saying, it only costs a couple grand, and we can make it happen.
Yeah, but you can't put a foot in someone's ass from outer space, so there's that.
That's what shock collars are for.
That's what surveillance cameras are for.
Not in my line of work, but I hear you.
Oh no, you can watch every part of your shop. And
I know, but anyway,
that ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah,
Rob needs to yell at people and tell them piss
no,
off.
I want to build them up. I want to motivate them. You can't do that. You can't do that.
You can do that with a YouTube video. What are you talking about?
Y'all have no idea what my business is like. Apparently, no idea.
I guess not. I guess not. If you'd show up more often, it'd probably run a little better, huh?
Okay, so there's a company, for those who don't know the computer industry, there's a company called Cisco Systems. They have a product called Presence, and it's a collaboration type product that allows people in all over the world to collaborate together as though they were actually sitting together at a boardroom table, even though they might be separated by oceans or thousands of miles or mountains or whatever. We can make this happen, Robbie. I'm not kidding. You can be there with your people, even though you're not there.
Would I have to turn the internet service back on there?
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. You'd have your morning briefing before they started cutting wood. You tell them what you needed, X and O's and some Z's, and bam, boom,
Actually, what's funny is I can do all my drawings remotely. I can communicate with all my clients remotely. I can upload G-code files to my CNC machine remotely. But what I can't do is be there, when they actually need me to fucking turn wrenches on something that's broken. So anyway.
I hear you. Well, we can all dream still, right?
Yeah, but in 5 years I could rent the building out and never work again. So there's that.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, it's a half mile from the Boeing plant. I got plans. Don't worry.
Let's see. Yeah, we jumped into some technology stuff here.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to get all geeky.
Yeah, you got a little techie,
I got all geeky
techno
and stuff.
geeky.
And actually, there's a reason for that because I know there's one guy here that's listening to be like, I know a guy who'd be interested in that.
Yep.
Let's see, we got how many acres, Rob? Isn't it 40 some or 80 some?
It's 43.
43, yeah. And bye.
That's it. 43.
Right.
I guess 40,
never
43. 43 was the magic
the
number.
metals of Texas
Poof, gone.
there. Poof, 43. Sloop, gone. See ya. That must be the wrong. Oh, and 43's back. Bam.
Yeah, sorry, I trying to close another window and accidentally X'd out of that one.
Yeah, it's all good. So we got X-Rings running on, I don't know, squirrel power on his Wi-Fi system. So we were talking about Mirage earlier. Someone had said, yeah, Ray, like your picture.
Yeah, exactly.
But it works.
Hey, I'm here. Yeah, that's all I can do.
That's right. That's it. That's good. That's all you
We're
need.
watching Ray at 1,500 yards through a giant Celestron telescope.
That's all right. You guys have been here at the house. You know I live in the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere.
Where?
I think we should all talk about our haircuts right now. Look at this sexy haircut I got.
No, Robbie, I'm sorry, but yeah, Robbie's got all you guys beat.
Oh, yeah. No, he has the beard of wisdom. He has the beard of wisdom. I don't know.
At least he cut it. And for a while there, he was starting to look like friggin', like, I don't know, it was getting ridiculous. At least it's trimmed now.
Yeah, it's got some shape to it. Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah. Well formed.
He's getting it ready for December.
Maybe you could talk to a crazy Scotsman about that because he just looks like freaking some kind of crazy Taliban motherfucker.
Oh yeah, the reason why I got my haircut is because Bad Billy 429 on one of my videos said, "Man, you're looking a little shaggy. You need a haircut, there, buddy." So this one's for you, Bad Billy.
Yeah.
Look at it, it's all there still. That's all that matters.
I know. That's a good thing.
That's right. High and tight. My wife kind of said, "What the hell happened to you?" when I showed up, but other than that, it's all good.
Yeah, it grows back out.
That's right.
Well, I'm hoping. So let me share about a minute's worth of my USPSA saga if y'all have an ear for me. The weekend before last, I shot 2 matches, and my classifiers, one of the classifiers I ran, I won overall, the whole stage overall. I mean, PCC, open guys, everything. I crushed it. The other
Nice.
match, thank you. The other match, the classifier, I finished like 2nd place overall, and I did a hell of a good job. Anyway, the hit factors are way up there, and a lot of my buddies are doing the math, and they're like, "Yeah, you should be like at 62% and everything." And I did the math because I don't really know which ones they drop and which ones they count and all that, and I'm coming up with like 60, a little over 60%, which still ain't that great. But I'm trying to get out of C class into B class, you know. And so last week they were doing all this math, and they're like, "Yeah, Wednesday morning, yeah, wake up, you're gonna it's all gonna be, you're gonna see it. You trust me, the math is right." So Wednesday morning I wake up, and I think I told the story on the chat already. So anyway, so I'll make it short. Nothing happened that afternoon. Nothing happened that evening. Nothing happened that day. So what I realized was everyone at the USPSA office was down in Florida at nationals. So anyway, so tomorrow morning, what I'm saying is tomorrow morning is Wednesday morning. So keep your fingers crossed.
All right.
We hope you get
I have a question. I have a question for you, Rob.
All right.
All right. Now that you've bought the 2011, gotten into the Nemesis, I guess that's what you're shooting now. Definitively, are you a faster shooter?
Well, yeah, I think I even the first match I shot with it, not knowing it, I kicked ass, and I've been doing better ever since. And I think the gun shoots good. I was a little embarrassed at my 3-gun on pistol. I don't know if you watched that, but if you watch some of the steel, it was not that good. But I think I think it's making me a better shooter. The problem is now I'm realizing that, in my opinion, I think that the nitrofin and the thumb rest is actually doing me a disservice to my recoil management and my follow-up shots, because I have too many makeups on steel. So I'm this Friday I'm spending all day without the nitrofin, and I'm readdressing my grip, and I'm working on things, and I hope to have a really good match Saturday. There's a lot of good talent at that match Saturday. Matter of fact, Jeff, your buddy Jeffrey is at that match, and some M class and A class guys. So we'll see. We got 2 good days coming up, and I'll see if it's the gun is great. As a matter of fact, I'm planning on ordering a backup. To be totally honest, I haven't told anyone that yet, but I got plans. If I can sell some other guns, I'm all in. As
You've heard it here first.
Absolutely. It's special, man. I don't know what to tell you, but it's.
I would love to hear your reasoning behind the fact that I'll call it an accelerator or a thumb brake, whatever you want to call it, on the on that gun, how it's impinging on recoil management, just because that's the sole purpose of its invention.
Because it was more for open guns. Okay. Limited guns are, if you look at all use them, and there's a reason they do that. You tend to abuse it more than use it properly if you're not properly trained, which I fall under. So if you drive that gun too hard with that, and it's real easy to do. I mean, let's face it, it's a big old thing. You can just smash it, and the gun goes everywhere. So the better thing, what I've come to find out, or what I believe, and I will soon find out, is that without it, your management of the gun is better, and you're letting the recoil, especially with this gun. This gun is designed to come back to zero with the proper load. And so putting a nitrofin on it and trying to make the gun do what you want it to do instead of what it's designed to do makes no sense. So I'm taking it off, and I'm just going to work the gun without it.
That makes sense. That makes tons of sense.
So you're going to quit cheating. You're going to quit cheating is what you're saying.
Well, if you call what I was doing Saturday cheating, then yeah.
A great experiment for that would be grab one of your tactical sports, because I know you have at least one more, and then grab an orange, because I know you have at least one more. Run up your targets with both guns, see how you do.
Well, I don't. They
I
all
guess it doesn't really matter, but
yeah, they all have a thumb rest on them, and I'm not going backwards. I'm never shooting another gun. I'm shooting this gun. That's all I'm shooting. But when I bought it with a slide lock as well as the nitrofin. So I just took the nitrofin off. So Friday will be a long day.
I know shooting the my AccuShadow compared to my TSO. Honestly, I shoot the AccuShadow well, like much better, honestly, than I do the TSO. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the ergonomics, or if it's because I do or don't have the accelerator pedal. But I don't know. Just it's a better shooting gun. Might have a lot to do with it.
Well, if I can dial in my accuracy and keep working on speed, I really think I'll be a happy camper. And most of my shots, I'm driving the gun down before I'm pulling the trigger. Anticipation, trying to do I'm trying to do too much with the gun and not letting the gun do what it's supposed to do. And I actually had a long conversation with Adam, the guy that built the damn gun, yesterday morning. He was waiting for a plane, and he was happy to talk to me for 30 minutes. And he confirmed everything that I was thinking. So I think I'm on the right track.
Rob, though, you were shooting those steels high. Leon, where you did the three things, but
well, so here's the thing. Half of them I shot high, the other half I shot low. So what does that tell you? You know, I'm driving the gun, but I'm missing the timing of the driving of the gun. But if you'll just let the gun do what it's supposed to do, you don't do either one. And that's the whole point.
Yeah. Well, I don't know when you have to borrow ammo because your ammo doesn't work. I gotta say, Rob saved my ass on that match. Good Lord, that would have sucked.
I heard about that.
Hey, leave it to an ammo mafia guy to save you with ammo, right?
That's right. I got lucky. Thank you again.
Part of this I'll go ahead and take blame for, because Rick did call me beforehand and ask me what the load was. But you also have to remember that was a brand new pistol. I don't know what the spring rate is on that thing. And I told him, I was like, you know, on these Akais that we're running 8-pound springs, and they didn't come with 8-pounders. They came with 10s. We had 9s, and, you know, I've got a buddy that's running 7s in his. You got a colder temperature. And, you know, I also don't know how accurate his machine is. Yeah, it's a Dillon 650, but I don't know that it's the same. I don't know where the scale is.
It was dropping perfect 3.2s.
And I believe that. But the day that we shot it and we had 0 issues, that was all 3.2.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. You know, nothing has changed. But that's one of those, yeah, you need to shoot that gun quite a bit before you take it to a match. You know, I ran into this with the Infinities with the 40s. You know, I went to nationals and the temperature dropped in the low to mid 30s, right at freezing. My ammo quit working. And I was like, boy, I am screwed here. And what I ended up doing was taking all the slide glide off and just running straight thin oil, and the gun worked again. You know, you start to get colder temperatures, especially if you're running grease. Yeah, you can have big problems with these guns. You got to know it.
Yeah, I put oil knowing it was getting to winter time, and I had shot that gun in the IDPA, but that was indoors and it was working like a champ. But how cold was it, Rob? It was like 47. It wasn't that cold.
What powder are you using?
Yeah, that was early in the morning when you were having that problem. It was 50. You know, it wasn't totally cold, so I don't really think that was the problem. I don't know. Yeah. I don't really know. You know?
Yeah, it don't matter. It worked. Rob saved me. End of the day. But yeah, I'll mess around with some springs and tweak with some stuff. I don't even mind. It was shooting. What were those loaded at, Rob? Because it shot flat.
Those were Federal 115 Walmart ammo. That was just factory ammo.
Yeah, it shot flat. So I might just maybe run 3, 4.
Get it broke in with just some Walmart ammo, some Federal, and just be, you know, then try to tweak a load. But until you can get it figured out, just take factory ammo with you everywhere you go, you know?
Well, I'll just bring the 40 till I get it dialed in.
Well, that was my other question. Do you have a backup gun? And Rick's like, no, I didn't bring the other gun. Like, how the hell you go to a match without a backup gun? You know, I still take the TSO just because I know it'll run, and if I have a breakage or something, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's funny you were talking about backups, because on 3-gun, do you take 3 different guns as backups? And I don't. And coming to that match, you know, we were going to touch on this spur breaking. A guy said, well, why weren't you carrying a backup? I mean, when you're flying halfway across the country, the last thing I'm thinking about is bringing another scope mount. I mean, you know, what am I going to do? Just bring up another rifle, which I could, but flying is a whole nother deal, which honestly, if I had to attribute anything to that broken spur mount, I would probably say it was from flying. I think someone was really, really hard on the luggage, even though we run Pelican cases and everything else. You know, you jumping down on a Pelican case a couple times, you're still going to feel it flex. And I think what happened is there was enough torque between the scope itself and the action of the rifle to where something did this with it, because the side clamp had sheared all the way across. And I didn't see that until cleaning it that night. And I was like, what the heck? And sure enough, I looked, I go to tighten the screws and they're just spinning. There was no torque in it, but just because of the way it had sheared them. You know, everything we use is calibrated. You know, we're using either the Borkas or the Wehas. So that's never been an issue with that. But yeah, it fractured all the way across on that rifle.
You should tell them your TSA freaking nightmare.
Kyle,
yeah.
I'm not going to say who Kyle or what Kyle, but a Kyle told me about that on the second AI that I bought, and he actually talked me into an air attack.
Okay, now you know that I run air attacks on all of my AR guns. So it's funny because that 1-6 that, you know, it's got an air attack on it, that Leupold, which is funny because we run those on everything. We got rid of all the Geisel stuff. I know the air attack is like bomb proof, but I would not have expected this from Spur. But it doesn't matter. We're going to machine titanium rails for them and just be done with it on the side clamps, and I'm not have to worry about them fracturing.
Well, another question is, I know Pelican cases are great, but did they make a solid metal steel kind of a, you know, like an indestructible case that's better than Pelican case?
And I've seen a lot of the metal ones, but yeah, the story that Rick was going to tell you is we got to this match on Wednesday. They lost all of our guns to the point of no one could answer where our guns were. Oh no, yeah, this gets even better. United is giving us the runaround. They can't tell us where the guns are, who's got them, or anything else. They said, well, they'll probably be on the next flight. Well, probably is not good enough when you're flying with suppressors and, you know, NFA items. And I was like, well, just let me talk to somebody in security because I know they're going to hold them in an area because this is what they do now. I said, I just want somebody to lay hands on them. They couldn't do that. We spent 3 hours on the phone with a United rep from the airport we were at. They couldn't get an answer. I said, you know what? No problem. I called the police department. I said, I need to file a basically lost guns, stolen guns report. They went to the airport because I said, look, I got to get this handled. I got to report this to the ATF or whatever because I've got things that can't be accounted for. And you got to remember, we're already on the ground for 8 hours at this point. We are livid because I don't know where these guns are at. And so the agency sends a deputy down, a police officer down. He gets in touch with them and actually lays eyes on them. They told him, they said, look, they will be on the next flight. Yeah, it'll be tomorrow, but they'll definitely get them. Well, they were able to get them on the very last flight out. So like literally, like I think it was 11, 12 hours later, we ended up getting our rifles. But yeah, I've never had that happen before, and that was not good.
Wow.
If you call United, you are talking to someone in India, and we could not get anyone at United at Houston. Just couldn't do it. I mean, every single person there, even United, couldn't get in touch with them. So yeah, that was not a good time for us. And then we lost the whole range day because we had rented out a range for that entire day to get zeros and dopes and all that. That we lost that. That was just gone.
Wow. Well, now that was very smart of you to call the cops and just say, "Hey, shit's missing." That was a good idea. I don't know if I'd have thought of that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, some of that
stuff. So yeah, that's
yeah.
What's that?
Some of that stuff's NFA items, right? So it needs to be called.
Yeah, by the time you had suppressors, the rifles, Wilcoxes, the scopes. I mean, it was chunk of change. So
imagine if that got put on a plane to Mexico and that fucking shit ended up.
Jeez.
Oh, New Mexico. Oh shit, we sent that to Mexico City. My bad.
Oh man, yeah, you get that back.
It wasn't just guns. It was everything. We had 5 Pelican cases. They lost all 5 of them. And so that included all the Akai pistols. I mean, it was everything. We had nothing. We had no clothes, nothing.
Well, first off, I'd like to say they didn't lose shit. They were trying to steal that shit from you.
Maybe. Hey,
I wonder.
How do you get your ammo out there?
What we usually do is we will have to ship the ammo out. You can take up to 10 pounds in your bags, or in your like the Pelican, but you can't. 10 pounds isn't going to do it on a match like this. So yeah, we usually fly it out, or not fly it out. You can't fly ammo out. You just have to send it ground, and we send it a week before to the hotel. And that's what most guys do, and it'll just be waiting there.
Okay.
You're gonna have to pay a hazmat fee or whatever, but yeah, you're gonna have to send it out. and then same thing coming back.
Yeah, just burn it all up.
Yeah, flying. Well, you try, but you always want to take extra as well, you know, and you can't always burn it up. We always take extra.
Hey, next time, you know, you could always send it to me, and you know.
Yeah, you're only allowed like 12 rounds, and then it's done. You already went 2
Yeah,
over.
exactly.
Oh, wait a minute. No, you can't send it to me.
I know.
That's right. I can't. You know, I'm not allowed to accept ammo from out of state.
No, you're not, because you're in the PRC.
The KPR.
Someday, buddy. Highway 9, California. Thanks for showing up, buddy. Okay, quick question for you. So,
Okay.
are any of you guys DMR matches? Now, how much harder is what you did besides carrying all your crap for 14 or 15 miles, but are the distances a lot farther? Like, because I want to try this DMR stuff out, but I need to. So, if you were going to try long range of some sort, competitive wise, is that the thing to go to, or is there something else before that?
I think a DMR match is a lot of fun. There's a lot less involved. You're not hunting and pecking targets. I mean, and I'm sure there's somebody that's out there that's running a DMR that's similar to what we ran this, 2 weeks ago or whatever. But the DMRs that I've been to, especially in the South or the Southeast, are a lot less involved. I mean, you still have to have good communication and working as a team, fast paced, where this others, DMRs, you're usually not limited on round count. You can go to war with these targets if you want, and just hopefully don't run out of par time, or you want your best time. Whereas these other ones that we're doing out west, you're always fighting for that clock just to get it done in time. I mean, the par times are really tight. Most teams timed out. 6 minutes sounds like a lot of time, but it's not when you've got two guys shooting one at a time.
I went to
You'll
war
enjoy the DMR.
Pigeons at 30 yards with my rifle. I'm like, what is going on here? But yeah, it was bad. I shot long distance stuff better than I did the short stuff. Oh well. Okay, so that would be those are good warm-ups for that whole long distance. I don't mean long distance, I mean like hiking all your stuff. That's good practice of your team communicating, and you still have to find the targets and all that kind of stuff. Or are the targets pretty much already easier to find too?
Oh yeah, and most of your DMR matches that I've been to, they're not blind stages. They're going to let you know, here's your distances, here's 5 minutes, go ahead and glass your targets, at least the ones that are around this area. If it's called a DMR, they give you your yardage beforehand, so hey, our farthest target's going to be, now this is one that we shot this last time. There was one at like 980 yards, but most of your DMR, it was like 800 and in. Because a lot of guys are going to be shooting 5.56 on a DMR, and unless you've got a great spotter or unless you've got those magneto speed flashers, it's hard to see the impacts of the 223. Rather.
Now, I got a question about DMR match. Do they do squads, or do they rotate through like a shotgun start, like the whole thing all the way through?
No, the ones that I've shot around here have all been in squads, but I did shoot one years ago at Woody's where it wasn't a squad. It was a two-man team, and it was very similar to what we did out west. And you had a 6-minute time limit. It was very, very similar, but that one was called a DMR as well. And I think Woody's, Damon Woodall used to run that one years ago, but they no longer do that, or at least I haven't heard of them doing one in a while. But all the ones of recent have all been standard DMR. Here's your yardage. Go have at it.
All right.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Yeah, and then you asked me a question about first focal plane, or front focal plane, first focal plane.
Someone
I
had
don't know what you meant by.
Someone had a comment, and they just put first focal plane, so I put it in there so you could read it. That was when you guys were talking about.
Okay, now guys, there is a time and place for everything. So, you know, the FFP for long range stuff, call it front focal, first focal, whichever the case is. Different manufacturers use the terms differently. What it means is simply your reticle changes size based on the power. Okay. I hate an FFP scope for 3-gun. It sucks. You can't see it on low power unless you've got a bright dot in the middle, but you can't read anything on that grid line. I've tried everything from the night forces to the, you name it, I've tried it. And I always settle in on a second or second focal plane scope for 3-gun, because you're really not engaging that far. The furthest I've ever shot one in a match has been like 540 yards. And the second focal was perfect. You know, it was perfectly fine for that. The only thing you just have to remember with second focal is it's not changing size. It's a fixed size. So power is going to matter as far as your ratio or your drops. So there's a place for everything. Long range, all FFP, 3-gun, I'm always running second.
Well, on that note, I mean, even just shooting at a range with static range, using a second focal plane scope, if you are, let's say at X whatever magnification, and you do have the reticle in front of you, you're looking at it, and you're paying attention to where your shots are hitting, usually you can kind of tell. You should be able to gauge, where on the stadia lines, where those bullets are impacting, and make corrections fairly abruptly, right?
No. Not in 3-gun. You're shooting so fast, and usually your papers are going to be up close. There, you're on 1 power. It's tack, 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 tack. As fast as
Well, I
was
was more talking about the longer range shots, not just not the 25 and 50 yard shots, but the longer range stuff.
500.
Yeah, which you're going to be up in power anyway, usually. That's why everybody put the cattails on there, so that you can immediately go up in power. But no, depending on how they've got it set up, you're not always going to see where your misses are. Sometimes they make it where it's on a tree line, so you don't see your misses. You can't tell.
Yeah, grass.
It's called grass or something.
Yeah, well, fuck those guys.
We have this stuff called grass and trees out here.
So, well,
we only have dust out here, so I don't know.
I know, and it's so nice having the dust, because you miss the target and you can see the bullet impact, and you see the dust coming up from it. You get your wing call right then and there. That is one advantage that there is to shooting out west.
Another thing about the first focal plane is you lose part of your reticle at magnification, right? I mean, you just lose the whole bottom of it a lot of times. Not that you might need it all that much, but I mean, it just chops it off.
Correct, but that's you usually have enough stadia lines to hit out at pretty long distances. Even with those 735s, you're good on those. But for 3-gun application, I'm not sold on any FFPs for that yet.
Well, kind of a cool trick that Ray had on one of his videos was, if you have, like, say you're shooting 1,000 yards, and then you're shooting 800 yards, and then 500 yards, you can kind of zoom into the 5 and do for holdovers, but you crank up your turret to like one of them, the elevation, but then you don't have to go as far because you're within the window still. That was a horrible way to say it.
Yeah, what you're saying is you're dialing the elevation to a midpoint, and then using the mills. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you got to be careful. There are 2 ways of doing that, and one way, if you've got larger targets, you can get away with it. But on MOA targets, you can't do that. If you've got small or MOA targets, then what you're going to do is you're going to use your turret for your elevation so that you're working both ends of the range there. This is going to be easy to lose somebody with this information, but that's why we did the whole card and subtracted the first target distance away and went ahead and added that in.
Yeah.
Follow me?
Yeah, I do. It worked well. Because then you're
Yeah.
able to zoom in, but also still be on the not the turrets.
Yeah. So this is the simplest way for me to explain it. On my 5.56, I know that at 400 yards, I'm going to be 2 mils. Okay. I know it. I know that gun. At 300 yards, I'm going to be 1 or 1.1. So if it's at 2 mils, but that's my first shot, then I'm going to go ahead and dial 2 mils in, which is going to now be my 400 yard zero. So I would just hold the center of the crosshair. That's my 400. So then I just do the back math. Let's say the next target was at 500. Well, on my rifle, it works out. It's going to be exactly 3 mils, but now it's only 1 because I've already dialed in 2. So it's only on the 1 mil line. So that's the easiest way for me to explain it. If you've already been given your yardages, you can go ahead and subtract all that distance out from the very first target, get that taken care of, so you're working less down the stadia lines instead of having to go, okay, well, my first shot's at 400 yards and I'm at 2 mils, then the next one's going to be down here at 3. Well, if that first shot, we go ahead and subtract that out. First shot's here, second shot's here. Gives me a whole lot to work with in the center.
And what's the
Makes
benefit
sense?
there? You're not having to count down or actually think too much. It's a little less thinking involved.
Correct. That's exactly what it is. I mean, you're not having to go all the way down in your field of view. Because think about it, when you're skewing something that much and you're putting that reticle up, you're no longer looking through the dead center of that scope. So yeah, it'll work and you can still shoot it. But if I can get stuff more towards the center, I'm good. Now, one of the disadvantages of shooting like the older, like the H58s, is they did not have a stadia line that went above horizontal. You didn't have a crosshair top portion marked with stadia lines. If you've got something like that, you can go ahead and work on the top scale too and keep everything in the center. But some of the older ones didn't have that top scale, especially if you're shooting up close, like really, really close. It was nice to have that.
So you could actually aim low with the 0 and then calculate everything, keep your range more in the center of the
Yes.
scope. Yeah.
Yeah. That takes some pre-planning, but if they're already giving you 5 minutes of prep time and they give you your yardages, or so a lot of times they won't give you the yardages. They'll say, here's your targets, have at it. And you got 5 minutes and you can range them on your own. And everybody kind of compares notes on what they came up with as far as yardages. And then you figure out your dope. It just depends on how you want to do it. Some guys dial everything. Some guys hold. It's whatever you're comfortable with. Holding's always faster. It's always faster.
Depends on the scope, though. You got to have a good tracking scope.
Yeah, you do. The other thing is you got to have. I'm not going to say you have to, but it's nice to have 2/10 mil stadia lines. 1/2 mil stadia lines works, but like I said, we've discussed before. If you get something that's 7/10 and it's a small target, you're somewhere in between 5 and 1/2 mil and a full mil, kind of in the middle-ish. But you're doing some guessing there, and you don't want to miss those targets. Take an extra second, make your shot count.
That was like me trying to dial in that little that Ruger Precision 22 last weekend. I put a fairly low end Vortex MOA scope on it, but the Ruger Precision long range, or not long range, LR22 gun comes with a 30 MOA scope mount. So it gives you 30 mil or 30 MOA of drop right out of the box. So you can dial the scope up, so you can dial it back down in elevation to make longer range shots. But the problem was that the scope didn't dial down far enough. I actually could not get a 0 with the scope at 50 yards because the scope literally would not dial down fast or far enough. The turret would literally bottomed out.
Yeah. Now, were there any shims in that one? Because I'm familiar with that scope that you're talking about, which you haven't mentioned, but I know which one it is.
There were none. I took it apart, and I'm fumbling around in the range because it's been a while since I danked with it, but there were no shims in it, and it just would not dial down far enough.
But was the impact somewhere in the scope?
Yeah, I could definitely see it, but at 50 yards, it was consistently 3 inches high. So I was able to, kind of try to move the scope down. So I'm like shooting above the horizontal. But the problem with the scope, and then this is kind of going back to what Ray was just talking about, the stadia lines in the top range of the vertical above the horizontal were at 1 mil. So I'm shooting at, again, these same little targets with, the 1 mil dots in them. I'm somewhere between above the line, beyond the line, just below the line. It was impossible to even scope the rifle. I've since taken that scope off and decided it's not the right scope for the job. And
This is a 22?
Yeah. And
I mean, 22 ammo is going to be a foot one way or the other anyway. It doesn't fucking.
No, this thing is a tack driver. I mean, once I decided to just place this, I just decided I was going to go with the third MOA line because that was basically the closest damn thing I could find to the target, and just held it there. It was, I'm 1/4 inch groups. It's just super. I mean,
did you go out and buy some of that Lapua match grade 22 LR?
No. This is all garbage, like CCI Maxi Mag carpet jacketed, copper jacketed. The carpet jacketed, it's a really slow ammo. But no, copper jacketed. It was actually really doing well. But again, the scope is like basically worthless on this gun just because it can't adjust for that massive drop that you have to dial in. So
that
whatever.
Federal blue box is supposed to be really good ammo for the money. I mean,
and this is actually like my first like 22 long rifle venture. This it's a cool little rifle. It's super fun to shoot, especially if you like. I spent most of the morning messing with, kind of experimenting with bullet jump with my AI, just adjusting in hundredths of inches of jump, just seeing how the bullets performed, all with the same exact powder load. But then I went from that to shooting this little spit gun, little, like it was like blowing little what do they call them? Spit wads. It's like it was so much fun. And yeah, I could totally get into this. So I ended up actually sticking, the gun I loaned Ray, the Christensen MPR. I took the scope off of it. It's a Leopold Mark V. What is it, like a 3.6 to 18? I'm going to stick that on it, which is like so overkill. It's ridiculous. But I know I'm going to do better with that because it has a far greater range of articulation when it comes to dialing in at least 0. So I think the next trip to the range might be funny. I'm probably getting some dirty looks, but whatever.
When your scope costs 12 times the rifle.
Yeah, see, I have a $2,200 scope on a $400 rifle.
It's funny. It's funny you guys are on this topic because I did that whole thing of us getting into small bore and all that, and I learned so much about these stupid 22s, and that was one of the things. We show up at these matches, and these guys have these CZ 455s or CZ 455 trainers, and they got Vortex Razor HD 4.5 to 27s on there. Some guys have these ones that are beefed up to 36 power and 40 power, and it's like, wow, but these, this is the thing, it's not a cheap man sport. I can tell you that because when a box of Ely 10X costs $17, guys. That's expensive for 22, but at 100 yards, you can literally hold quarter to 1/8 inch groups with these and shoots. You know, and I've even seen it with the 455 trainer. You know, shooting that Lapua, I guess it was the Midas. It was holding 8-inch groups, but the drops are incredible because they don't allow, you know, high velocity ammo. So you'll zero at 50 and then you'll move to 60 meters and 77 meters. Well, by the time you got your 50-meter zero and then go to your 100-meter zero, you're already 5.7 mils. Okay, so there's a lot of dialing going on, but you know,
I kind of wish you hadn't said that, because I was looking forward to plugging all this crap into my Kestrel and finding out what the dope was going to be.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is, but it's going to change a little bit based on your ammunition. But there's a whole brand new series that's starting this year, and I believe you guys heard of the 22s called their Voodoo Innovations, I guess. Those rifles are like $3,500. They make exact replicas of like your AI chassis, but it's a 22 action. They're like $3,500, but they just started. They're starting a new series in 2019. Well, they'll shoot out to like 300 yards from all these different positions. But now you're dialing crazy dope and wind for these things.
Is there any of those around us, Ray?
Yeah, they're going to actually start doing that. I believe just an hour south of us.
I can't imagine the wind. Or even just the.
That sounds like fun.
Just the gyroscopic.
I got a question. Have you guys heard of railgun shooting? Have y'all seen that?
Yeah, it's like bench rest shooting. You've got a gun that's basically not even a gun, and you use the syringe and or electronic triggers to fire these things.
And they have the little wind tails every like 20, 30, 50 yards. And these people are literally timing the wind to send the shot, because there's no talent in actually holding the gun. The gun's clamped to a bench, and it's on these freaking linear rails. And from what I understand, they can spend up to 10 grand on like it's basically a rifle barrel that's probably 2 inches around, you know, that's whatever caliber. And it's on these linear guide bearings that's hydraulically dampened and all this shit. And then they have this little air squeeze bag where it actually pulls the trigger. So there's no human element whatsoever. It's all about the rifle, if you want to call it that, and the and timing the shot based on the elements downrange, what have you.
It sounds like who can spend the most money. That's what it sounds like to me.
I watched the match on YouTube, and I'm like, this looks boring as shit. But these people, but there's actually a little bit of skill to it, I guess. But anyway,
what, bringing all the shit and having to put it all back together? I mean, what else do you need to do?
Well, I wasn't there, so I don't know how it works. But apparently, you know, that's where you get these groups that look like one bullet hole, you know, at I don't know how many fucking yards, but it was a little on the ridiculous side, you know.
That's crazy.
Most people I asked are like, what's a railgun? They don't even know what the hell it is. But if you look up railguns on YouTube, man, you'll see them, and it's the craziest shit. I've never seen one in person ever. Like, hey, look at my railgun, you know, I mean.
When you said railgun, I was thinking, you know, that strange artillery that's launched with, you know, magnetic power through like these cannons that are like 50 feet long, like this giant steel projectile.
Well, if
you're talking about like the gun being on a rail, not the actual rail gun.
Yeah, and if you YouTube that thing, you'll see some of that come up as well. But
all right,
yeah, to me that sounds like something that would be fun to mount on a vehicle.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, but you still got it's still a bolt gun. You still got to put a round in every time. So
yeah, well, we can change that.
Yeah, belt-fed railgun. Yeah,
belt-fed railgun suppressed.
I don't know. It's interesting just to go look up. Just go look up the YouTube video. It's just interesting to watch what some people get into. You know, because when I seen that, I'm like, what the hell is this? I thought maybe it was for like handicapped people, like seriously, like for people that were handicapped. But it turns out it's like a real sport. You know, I mean, so anyway.
Huh. All right. Well, before we go, should any of you guys got anything you want to talk about? Bald and Curious is back. Yeah, I have to agree with him. He says it's boring. Sounds boring.
You talking about your chat?
No, chat's great. He's talking about the railgun.
Yeah, he did actually specifically call out railguns are boring.
I think they are too. I just thought it was fascinating what some people do. You know what I'm saying? Just to look at it, you know.
I think shooting an actual railgun, not what you were referring to, Robbie, but you know, one of those crazy sabot rounds that weighs like 150 pounds that goes at like 17 times the speed of sound. That would be cool as hell.
Yeah, you're aiming at Alaska or some shit, you know.
That's what I'm talking about. That's long range right there. Unless you're in Alaska.
Giggity.
Bald and Curious is at it again.
I mean, those targets at the last 3-gun, the farthest one out, we walked it was 200 yards. They were 10-inch steels. It was like fire, hit, fire, hit, fire, hit. So I feel like I did all right, you know, with that just standing there at the VTAC board. I think all y'all pretty much beat me on that, but for me, I was happy. I actually hit them all pretty quick. So
yeah, you did really good on. I mean, you were consistently good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when I mean good, I don't mean like super great, but throughout the whole thing, you did good.
Well, I appreciate that.
Where the rest of us would do one good stage and then utterly just too terrible.
Well, I have found the key to a match is being match mode and good at every stage. If you have a meltdown, like usually my first stage of the day, just like this one, I'll have issues. But consistency is key to a match. That's why they call it a match.
That's right.
Yeah.
So do you think that
all of them?
This was everybody on the squad had a freaking. I mean, it was the first stage. The first guy that goes, his gun won't feed. So then he gets a reshoot because his shit was all fucked up. And then who went next? Somebody else went next. He's bleeding because something happened. His gun got all jammed. Couldn't get his bullet out. Then he had a squib load. I'm like,
oh no, that was the guy that was shooting through. By that point, he was already done on one stage. He was coming through, and he had a squib, right?
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm sorry.
No, that was the guy with us.
The suppressor. Yeah, no, he was. I was like, then we had a squib.
The suppressor guy went. The timer didn't read. It was just
no. You shot it 3 times, right?
No, twice.
Twice. Well, someone shot it 3 times because it was it Matt? I don't know who the hell it was, but Jesus Christ, it was something, and then the timer didn't get it, and I was like, good God Almighty! I mean, I didn't think we were ever going to leave that stage. Literally,
I didn't think so either. If we started at 8, we didn't leave there till 10. I swear, it was bad. It was.
Oh man, I hate those.
It was fun though. It was cool shooting with Jeff and Pierce. I actually have Pierce's or yours.
Let me tell you something. Jeff can shoot, man. He has come a long way. I mean,
he shoots a lot.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be at that Spartanburg match. I'll get to shoot with him again this coming weekend. So he's unclassified in USPSA. So I don't know if he's a member or if he just doesn't shoot many matches. But I wish he would have squatted with us. I seen his name up there, but anyway, the Spartanburg match gets full in like an hour. Boom, it blows up, and that's it. You have to get on there real quick. So anyway,
do you still have a spot on your squad?
No, it's full. Like I said, man, that's one of those matches that fills immediately.
I was gonna say I could call him and see if he wants to jump over there, but it doesn't sound like it'll happen.
Yeah, he may have friends on his squad, so I don't ever like to tell people to jump squads because then he may be squatted with 3 or 4 guys and stuff like that. So
That's a bummer. TR's right there. That'd be cool to see him try that. And I say that loosely because I know I'm super chicken shit when it comes to.
If anybody wants to shoot Spartanburg, they shoot twice a month. They shoot first Saturday and fourth Saturday. I mean, and they put up some good stages. I like it a lot. It's a fun place to shoot. And for me to drive all the way up there, it's got to be good. So
Yeah, it's a long haul for your ass. For sure.
All right, so on another topic, real quick, and maybe this is not the place to ask, but I'm going to ask anyway. How many people are planning on going to SHOT Show this year in January?
I don't know.
I'm not.
Okay, so
I'm off, but I'm in California when it starts. So I'd have to fly to Vegas, which I got to fly that way anyway. So
for me, the cost is just I don't get enough out of seeing new stuff. I'm pretty much living my life in a little tunnel vision of what I like to do right now. So I don't care about everything that's going on in the gun world. Plus, it would cost me a lot of money, so I'm not going.
I'm just going just because I've always wanted to go. I've wanted to go for a dozen years or more probably, and finally had the opportunity. Now that I don't know what the difference is. I remember trying to sign up a couple of years ago and using my YouTube credentials as the media pass and whatever, and they're like, yeah, sorry, you don't qualify. But I did it again this year, and they accepted my credentials. I had to tweak a couple things on my YouTube page, but yeah, they accepted my media pass because I'm a video gun guy, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, they accepted me. So, and literally it doesn't cost a dime to sign up for SHOT Show. It does not cost anything. There's a $10 administrative fee if they accept your application. Beyond that, it's just basically making your hotel reservations or whatnot.
Can I be your camera guy and not have to sign up?
I'd say anybody who's got a YouTube channel that does gun stuff, try. If you're interested in going, you probably get in.
Bald and Curious is going.
Yeah, so Val is going. Okay, how about
that? Pretty much says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah. So they will let.
All right. How about anybody know if Coda Boy's going?
No, I know for certain that Coda Boy's going for certain.
Yeah,
he's already got a reservation.
At least four of us that know each other that'll be there.
Yeah, and then all your fans.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. That'd be cool to meet up with everybody because every year I don't think I've missed one in forever, but it's always just by myself running from table to table to table to table and see the newest, latest, greatest, and that was it.
Hey, there's a guy that that you had talked to or emailed. He had emailed you. His name's Nathan.
Yes.
He does
a Canic.
Yeah, Canic. I was sitting at Rex's and he's like, hey, Rick, is your six covered? And I'm like, who is this dude? So we started talking and he's like, yeah, me and I've been talking to Ray, and I was like, oh shit, that's cool. He was on here earlier. I don't know, he might still be on here, but I was like, oh, that's cool. But I didn't know who he was. I never heard of his channel. It was like,
yeah, Nathan. No, he hit me up on and wanted me to review a Canic, and I've seen some of them. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, but he wanted me to review it, and I said, yeah, it's fine. He said, you just get up with me and let me review it. So I've never met him, but I'll review it.
He's a nice guy. He shot decent at the he shot well at the IDPA match too.
Okay, good deal.
Nice guy, yeah. If you end up running into him, he's not some crazy kook.
I hear you.
All right. Any other stuff before we get out of here?
I just want to say one last thing about SHOT Show. I've not been, and I know Ray has, maybe he can back me up on this, but you're talking about the Sands Convention Center, which is a freaking huge building. It's a building the size of the Superdome, but not, is there only one level? There's 3, 4, like 5 different levels that are all the same square footage of all gun stuff. What's not to love about that? Why wouldn't you at least try to go? I mean,
well, no, I think it's cool. I don't like all the videos, SHOT Show this and SHOT Show that, and holy hell. I mean, it's like, yeah. Maybe that's because I was jealous because I never got to go, but I was just like, you get over it after a while when SHOT Show happens.
I've always been the guy that bought the members only jacket like in the late 90s or early 2000s, you know. So I've never been up on the times of things. So to me, it wouldn't serve me well. But like I said, I've got a very narrow mind with guns right now. So I would like to get together, hang out with you guys, but I can't justify the time and the money and all that. And I'm kind of kicking myself for not going to nationals in Florida. Again, that was too much money, and just trying to spend wisely, you know, on shit that matters. But
I heard Atlas was out there, you know, so you might want to come now.
I know everything they got going on. I can call the owner and talk to him personally. I mean, what fucking more do you want, you know? So
I'm just kidding.
maybe he'll fly out, give you
No.
an Atlas sponsorship.
Yeah, there you go. You can wear one of their shirts.
Nah, he don't know me from Adam's house cat, literally.
Shit, he watches all your videos. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't really know about all that, but anyway, I can call him, which is cool. So anyway,
Yeah,
maybe next year things will be a little different. Maybe in 10 years when things are real different.
Southern Style 357 says everyone should make a bunch of Isyour6 covered business cards and hand them out at the show. I just want my teas. I just want my Pure Leaf tea sponsor. I just bought it, you know, a couple carts full over at Sam's Club.
Yeah, Bold and Curious puts out an interesting proposition. You know, maybe you can open up your Patron account again and cash in the tequila for some plane tickets.
Okay, so it's not necessarily about the money; it's how I want to spend that money. Does that make sense?
I know, but Patron account is like it's the silly money. It's fun money.
Yeah. I know. Y'all know me. You don't have to.
He just wants to shoot his freaking pistol. He ain't got time to be walking around. My problem is if I go to SHOT Show,
five
I
floors
might never walk in and they'll be gambling. I'll be like, oh, look, another poker table. Oh, look, another slot machine.
But then there's media day on the range where everybody gets to shoot every freaking gun under the sun all day long.
Yeah, but then it's gonna be all these signing autographs all day long and like, oh
yeah, poor Rick, you're gonna be so busy.
No, I don't believe the media pass gets you to media range day at in Vegas.
So there's that.
But I know a guy who's going who will get us in.
Well, I know I can get myself in. I don't know if I can.
But there's another guy. I'm not going to say who it is, but
no, I know what you're talking about, but I think
we're
that's
connected.
for a different ranges.
There's both, as far as I'm aware.
See, this is why I'm not going. It's too complicated. It's too fucking complicated. I mean, I don't have time for that shit. You know,
anybody got time for that?
That's a lot of minutes to figure shit out. That's a lot of minutes.
Good Lord, there's a lot of thinking.
All right. Well, I appreciate all you guys showing up. This train wreck has hit the building. We're done. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you showing up. And doesn't sound like any of you guys. I asked you 14 times if there's anything. So with that said, we are going to hit the stop broadcast button. We appreciate everything. and see you guys on the next live chat, which will probably be in 15 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Take care, you guys. I enjoyed it all. It was fun.
See ya.
Yeah.